Dr. Brashani joins me again, and how proud are you of what the campus community and people like Pamela Jo and Paul and the others that we've heard from today, and how they've contributed to making a difference and navigating the pandemic?
To tell you the truth, I have my trouble getting my arms around it, John. We often say we're a student-focused land-grant research university. We talk about we measure ourselves by serving our citizens, catchphrase after catchphrase. But what we just heard is the secret sauce, if you will. We talk about how important higher education is, but this was a literal example of what only can be accomplished by a top-ranked public research university. There was no other agency in the state, there was no other college or university in the state that was able to do what we were able to do in a material, immediate manner, serving the citizens that support us. That's incredibly powerful, and it's, like I say, I'm so proud, but I have trouble getting my arms really around what took place here and how much better the state of North Dakota was able to handle this worldwide pandemic because of NDSU.
We're now joined by one of our most outstanding students, who also has had a very unique experience in helping navigate the pandemic in a very different way. And so joining us now is Bryce Bakkegard, a senior business administration major. Bryce is the content manager for the NICE Center at North Dakota State University, which is part of the Osmond Entrepreneurship Program housed in the College of Business. Now, I want to add that these entrepreneurship initiatives have been funded entirely through philanthropy from the In Our Hands campaign, and we're grateful to the donors for their support. So thanks for being with us today, Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here, John.
It sounds like you've had quite an experience. And so maybe first just talk a little bit about what is the NICE Center and its mission at NDSU.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned right away, the NICE Center is the entrepreneurial center here at North Dakota State University. Kind of a little bit about the name, what it was. Essentially, it was based to be the NDSU Center for Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship, and got into some issues with the acronym and naming and things. So we just rolled with NICE Center and kind of let it ride from there. But yeah, absolutely. At the NICE Center, our mission is entrepreneurship for all, and we really believe that entrepreneurship is an essential skill that can and should be taught. And really, our director Scott Meyer, his way of, he always puts it is the best way to learn entrepreneurship is simply to do it. And so we get the question a lot, what is entrepreneurship? What does it look like? And there's a lot of different answers, but very simply put, we like to say that entrepreneurship is people solving problems and creating value with those solutions. And really, as we look at our mission to have entrepreneurship for all, we start to run into the question, okay, how do we do that? Like, what does that actually look like? And last fall, we conducted a research study, and really the whole study was around talking to students throughout the state of North Dakota and figuring out what are their thoughts about starting businesses? How do they approach it? What do they feel about it? And we got some really interesting responses. And what we actually found was that the older students got, the less likely they were to want to start a new business or chase down a new solution. And that was really interesting to us. And it was kind of not what we expected. And so we knew that in responding to our mission that we had to figure out, okay, how do we go beyond just our university campus to be talking to these students and reaching these students? And so that's really where our big goal that we've recently launched and we'll be continuing to roll out in the coming weeks, our 95-25 initiative. And really what that is we want to teach entrepreneurship to 95% of the students across the state of North Dakota, grades 9 through graduate school by 2025. A very big, audacious goal, but we're super excited about it. And we really believe that as an extension of the land-grant university focus that North Dakota State has, that we're really here to serve the greater state of North Dakota and not just the awesome students on our campus. And so we're super excited to be chasing down that big goal.
Well, speaking of service, the NICE Center and students like you served our communities. And at the beginning of the pandemic, there were a lot of small business owners that had to pivot in a way that they completely probably were never prepared to do. Can you talk a little bit about how the NICE Center stepped in to be able to support these small business owners in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of took two main approaches to kind of response from the pandemic. Shortly after all of us students went online, we realized, hey, a lot of the work that we were doing was no longer needing to be done. It was things that were more day-to-day in-person events and a lot of that kind of stuff. And so we realized, like, wow, we have a big group of students that is just not having as much to do. And so we launched a business digitization initiative, which essentially was just taking the skills from the students and the staff within the NICE Center to help local businesses that were affected by the shutdowns. And so it looked like everything from building websites to launching Kickstarter campaigns, designing new logos, helping run or manage a social media account. And ultimately, we were able to help about 100 local businesses digitize their brands to bring them from more of an in-store presence to an online presence to help them compete in the COVID landscape. And we also, kind of the second prong of our response was we partnered with Microsoft TechSpark, and through that, we were able to launch NICE Help. And NICE Help is a website of resources. It ended up pulling together about 150 local and federal, as well as statewide resources for both North Dakotans and our neighboring Minnesotans as well. And really just helped create an opportunity for these individuals to get connected to resources that were already there. They were just having a hard time finding them. And so our team of mostly students helped source, organize, and connect individuals and companies to these resources. And we ultimately ended up being able to help about 1,700 people reach these different resources across the site.
Bryce, that's really remarkable. And I think, again, to the President's point earlier, a hidden story, an impact that NDSU and its community has had navigating the pandemic. That's fantastic for sharing. Just personally, as you reflect on the past year, what have you learned the most, and how has it changed kind of your perspectives and as you think about your future career in life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, as I reflected on just the pandemic and, like you mentioned, stuff with transitioning to online for school and transitioning to online for work, I think for me it just really taught me the power of community. And I don't think any of us students fully realized how impactful, how big of an impact we could make just in our little roles and the things that we were learning from the university campus and through the NICE Center, if we came together and kind of rallied behind this core mission of just helping businesses. And I think we were able to be a small part in taking, which was a very scary time for a lot of small business owners, especially small local business owners, and just do anything and everything that we could to support them. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Robots, but it's one of my favorite movies. And Big Weld, kind of the main robot, says his big line is "see a need, fill a need." And I think that's really what we kind of realized that we wanted to be, was we just wanted to be helpers. We had students who are being trained in a world-class institution for marketing and research and communications and all these things. And we realized, like, man, we can put all those things to use. And it was really impactful to see that, and more of a hands-on maybe sometimes that we don't always get to see. As students were able to see a really hands-on implications of that. And just one of my favorite stories from the work that we did was a local entrepreneur affectionately named Mama D. She started a daycare here in town for infants, toddlers, preschoolers, school-age kids, and kind of her big driving kind of differentiator is that it's actually a 24-hour daycare. So she runs around the clock.
Wow.
To have this opportunity to reach these students and kids who aren't at any time of the day. And it was really, really cool to come alongside her. And we actually helped her launch a Kickstarter campaign, which ultimately ended up getting fully funded for her to be able to open up a new building, do renovations and such, that she was able to better support her 24-hour childcare. So it was just really cool to hear these local stories and to talk with entrepreneurs who were, and also just community members who were struggling and who faced real issues, and we were able to come and be a little part of the help going forward. So
I can imagine there's lots of Mama D stories out there, right? And so, Dr. Brashani, when you reflect on the things you've heard from Pamela Jo and Paul and Bryce, and just thinking about how the university has had to shift and respond to the pandemic over the last year, what do you take away and reflect on as you think about the future of NDSU and its mission?
I think that the thing that became a resonating rallying point is that NDSU cannot fail. The people that we serve can't afford for us to fail. We have a job that is unique and powerful. We bring a tool to any fight that can win the day. And I think we saw that happen, and it has bolstered people to believe that NDSU can accomplish anything, even in spite of a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so, President Brashani, Bryce, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your stories and reflections on how NDSU is making a difference in this pandemic. I hope the stories that you've seen and heard during this program provided insight into the way our students, faculty, and staff have been working to track, understand, and solve the COVID-19 problem.